U.S. President Joe Biden Wednesday signed an executive order requiring the government to assess the risks and benefits of cryptocurrencies and to explore the creation of a digital dollar. The president's order requires the Treasury Department, the Commerce Department, and other key agencies to prepare reports on the future of money. It's a first step toward coordinated government regulation of the now $3 trillion industry. Administration officials said oversight of the booming sector is essential to ensure U.S. national security, financial stability, and to fend off the growing threat of cybercrime.
What we have today is incredibly thoughtful.
Kristen Smith, executive director of the Blockchain Association, says the industry welcomes the approach.
What we want is a measured, methodical approach to analyzing this space. What we don't want are rushed policies that are pushed through last minute without open discussion. And in order to get a menu of policy solutions to consider, you really have to start with the type of analysis that this executive order is asking for today. So I think the asset class is at a valuation that merits this type of investigation. It's not too late. It's also not too early.
White House officials said the U.S. was taking great care to decide whether and how to move forward with a U.S. central bank digital currency, or CBDC. According to the Atlantic Council, 9 countries have launched central bank digital currencies, and 16 others, including China, have begun development of such digital assets, leading some in Washington to worry that the dollar could lose some of its dominance to China. Bitcoin surged on the news of the executive order, calming market fears of an immediate crackdown on cryptocurrencies.
South Korea has a new president. Conservative opposition candidate Yoon Suk-yeol was elected in one of the most closely fought races in recent history, which will shape Asia's 4th largest economy for the next 5 years. Yoon, who is 60, edged out the ruling Democratic Party's Lee Jae-myung by a fraction. A formal announcement is expected to be made on Thursday. The People Power Party candidate said he would work with opposition parties to heal polarized politics and foster national unity, calling the election a, quote, victory of the great people.
승리가 아닌가 그렇게 생각을 합니다.
Yoon's 5-year term will begin this month to replace incumbent President Moon Jae-in, who is constitutionally barred from seeking re-election. The White House congratulated Yoon, saying President Joe Biden looked forward to working closely with him to bolster the alliance. Despite being a political novice, Yoon shot to fame after spearheading high-profile investigations into corruption scandals engulfing Moon's aides.
이제 우리는 이런 부패하고
We have to stop the corrupt and incompetent ruling forces' attempt to extend their term and plunder people.
He has pledged to stamp out graft, foster justice, and create a more level playing field while seeking a reset with China and a tougher stance towards reclusive North Korea. More than 77% of South Korea's 44 million eligible voters cast ballots to pick their next leader, despite an unprecedented surge in new COVID-19 cases, with a record 342,446 posted on Wednesday.
Across Latin America, there's a new generation of trans politicians tackling violence, despite risks. Erica Hilton is one of them. The Sao Paulo city councilor has her sights set on becoming Brazil's first transgender member of Congress in elections this year.
We want to be representatives of our own flags, of our own histories, and of the political project that we want to build for Brazil in an intersectional way.
When she first ran for office in 2020, Hilton received more votes than any other female candidate to win a city council seat in Brazil.
I will most likely be a candidate to become a federal deputy, thinking about the needs of Brazil for the reconstruction and reformulation of the groups of which I'm part of.
But she's chasing her goal in a country pegged as the deadliest for trans people in the world, according to advocacy group Transgender Europe. One estimate says at least 189 trans people were killed in the region last year. There are struggles in Venezuela, too, according to Tamara Adrian, a transgender lawyer, researcher, and federal lawmaker elected in 2015. She says the fight for trans rights often takes a back seat to other political, social, or economic issues.
In Venezuela, there is nothing, not even inquiries into hate crimes.
Last year, Mexico's Maria Clemente Garcia Moreno was among the first 2 trans women elected to the country's Congress. She says her work remains an uphill battle.
It makes me feel responsible. It's a large weight to bear. It doesn't mean I don't want to carry it, but it's very complex to represent a population which has not been in the public agenda, a population that is rarely understood and seldom discussed.
North Korea says it will launch satellites to monitor the U.S. and its allies in the years ahead, according to state media on Thursday. Leader Kim Jong-un said a lot of military reconnaissance satellites would be put into orbit as part of a 5-year plan announced in 2021. State media KCNA reported that Kim inspected the country's space agency this week and that Kim noted, quote, "The purpose of developing and operating the military reconnaissance satellite is to provide the armed forces of the DPRK with real-time information on military actions against it by the aggression troops of the U.S. imperialism and its forces in South Korea, Japan, and the Pacific." The move may prove as controversial as the country's nuclear armed weapons tests because experts say the satellite uses the same ballistic missile technology banned by the UN Security Council. Pyongyang said it's conducted 2 satellite systems tests over the last 2 months. The launches drew international condemnation, and U.S. military responded by increasing its surveillance of the Yellow Sea and heightened its ballistic missile defense readiness. KCNA reported Kim defended the satellite work as protecting North Korea's sovereignty, exercising its right to self-defense and elevating national prestige.
The intelligence community has assessed that the transfer of MiG-29s to Ukraine may be mistaken as escalatory and could result in a significant Russian reaction that might increase the prospects of a military escalation with NATO. Therefore, we also assess the transfer of the MiG-29s to Ukraine to be high risk. And we are grateful for the superb support and cooperation of our Polish allies who continue to host thousands of our troops and who are welcoming more than 1 million Ukrainian refugees. Polish generosity is clearly on display for the whole world to see. But at this time, we believe the provision of additional fighter aircraft provides little increased capabilities at high risk. We need to be careful about every decision we make, that we aren't making the potential for escalation worse. Because that's not only not good for NATO, and it's not only not good for the United States and our national security, should this conflict escalate even further, but it's certainly not going to be good for the Ukrainian people to have what is already a destructive and terrible war get even more destructive and terrible, given the fact that Mr. Putin has other capabilities at his disposal.